Well, like all nations, Australia's history is rich and complex with plenty of light and shade. Increasingly, though, rather than being acknowledged and taught from with a view of context, it's become just another front in the culture wars and erasing in all of this individuals and their achievements. Now, a recent target has been Sir Samuel Griffith. You may not know his story, but you'll certainly recognise the name Griffith, the federal Brisbane seat now occupied by the Greens, suburbs in Canberra named after him, and even the university in Brisbane that bears his name. Samuel Griffiths was the inaugural Chief Justice of Australia, a Queensland Premier, the Chief Justice of Queensland, and one of the architects of our Constitution, playing an integral role in making Australia the thriving democracy it is now. But academics at Griffith University want his name ditched after re-evaluating the founding father as what they call an enabler of massacres, a bloke with blood on his hands. Xavier Boffa is the Executive Director of the Society of Sir Samuel Griffiths. He joins me now to not just defend Griffith's name, but his historical legacy. Xavier, welcome to the program. Firstly, before we get into the merits of the arguments that advocate cancelling Griffiths, we'll get into those in a minute. What was his legacy? Why did he matter?
Thanks for having me on the show, Peter. I think the number one reason why Sir Samuel Griffith is important to Australians today is because we continue to enjoy the benefits of the system of government that he was the chief architect of. He was the principal author of the Constitution, and in doing so, he created a system that has been one of the most stable and prosperous in the entire world.
You argue that one of the reasons we shouldn't cancel Samuel Griffith is because, you know, his legacy of democracy, responsible government, rule of law is there. So what's the argument that Griffith University is putting out for him to be cancelled and made to basically disappear?
Essentially, Peter, the argument is that Griffith, when he was Attorney General and then Premier of Queensland, didn't do enough to stop some of the violence on the Queensland frontier, and so should be held to account for his inaction. So there's no allegation that Griffith himself did anything to contribute to what may or may not have occurred there. It's purely an argument that he didn't do enough to meet today's standards.
So it's we're basically wanting to erase him by omissions that have been levelled at him, but not by acts.
Exactly.
But if we went back and looked at every historical figure, I mean, there's complicated legacies, different times, different attitudes, all of that. I'm not saying you have a jaundiced view of history. I think we have to be very honest about our history, all the very great things that have happened in the past, and also some of the pretty terrible things that have happened in the past. I think we have a very honest lens on all of that, but we don't judge people in the past by the standards of today, surely.
Well, that's right. I mean, no one is saying that we can't have a mature conversation about our nation's history as we move forward. But I think the idea that even the slightest imperfection or the allegation that someone may or may not have done something that we would agree with today can somehow tarnish an entire legacy and invalidate all of the good that that person may have contributed to our society, I think that is really problematic.
So tell me what the Sir Samuel Griffith Society does, because you defend the judiciary, you defend our legal system. I know that there are many years of really pretty phenomenal scholarship and papers put forward to advance some of the very constitutional basis of our country. Are you going to be forced to change your name? Will you accept that?
Well, the short answer is no way. The Society doesn't exist to honour Griffith so much as it exists to honour the Constitution that he created. And so the Society stands for the principles that that Constitution stands for. It stands for the rule of law. It stands for the separation of powers. It stands for our democracy. And we can't afford to concede on Griffith's legacy, because to do so is to concede on those fundamental principles.
So you're going to take this fight on?
Absolutely, Peter. If people want to come for Griffith and they want to cancel Sir Samuel Griffith, then they're going to have an opponent in the Sir Samuel Griffith Society, because if we let people cancel Sir Samuel, how long before they come to try and cancel the Constitution itself?
All right, Xavier, where can people go to get more information on the fight at hand?
They can go to our website. It's samuelgriffith.org.au, Samuel Griffith, one word.
All right, Xavier Boffa, thank you for your time.